My name is David Shankland, and this is day one of our 2-day sculpture class, beginning 3D soapstone carving. And the process we're following, that Jeffrey is following, and I'm working on an old piece of my own, but for most of sculpture, and for one of my rules whenever I teach this class, is we have to make a model. Because in 3D, it's easy to get lost in the process, and the model helps you kind of get acclimated first to the material. The clay is very pliable and mistake friendly, and when we'll be working with, Jeffrey's chosen a piece of stone. The stone comes from I get it from a supplier in New York City, and this is soapstone. And the beauty of soapstone is, and these are really two gorgeous pieces, this is going to end up being similar to this when finished. And it will take a polish. We don't use any power equipment. This is all rasps and saws and chisels. And in 2 days, the 2 4-hour classes, this is a beginning class, in the 2 4-hour classes, my goal for the students is, first of all, to have a good time and that they're going to succeed. And success is part of the motivation of the class. And I have had everyone who's ever taken one of my classes has succeeded. The stone we're using here is a little softer than this little piece of stone I'm working with, and which makes it rasp friendly, chisel friendly, and all the tools we're using. But the purpose of the model is, when you're working with a stone like this, often you get a block of stone, which is what I got started with here. And you can kind of draw out your design and then work in from there. With these, with a piece, an actual rock shape, then as Jeffrey has discovered, he came up with an idea right away and chose his piece of stone, and he's making his model to correspond with the shape of the stone. And the model gives you, obviously, it gives you something to work from. One of the first things I hear from almost all students at beginning classes is, I can't do this, I've never worked like this before. And my response is, yes you can, and yes you will, and you will succeed. And we each even have something to mount it on when we're done. At the end of the 2-day class, you will have something to take home. And one of the things I like to do, this is kind of a scrap piece to give students the chance to feel what it's like to work in stone. When you think in stone, the first thing that comes to mind is that we're going to be using hammers and chisels, but we're not. The soapstone is wonderfully carvable. This has been a hand I was working on. The thumb broke off. I decided this is now donated to the class as a carving sample and a chance to see what the stone looks like in its fairly rough form. And I had, in an outside exhibit once, I let someone just sand and sand and sand, and this is what happens. You can take it down to this gloriously smooth finish. Soapstone itself is made up primarily of talc, which gives it this wonderful smoothness. And this is what, as I said before, this is what this should turn out to be. And it is just beautiful. And then you get it polished like this, and then we will wax the piece. And waxing the piece is almost the same as putting water on it. even red colored water will work. So, in the beginning class, we'll work with a little bit softer stone, and I'm thinking, you know, everyone should work with a little softer stone because this is a fair-sized piece to work. And once he has his model made to his satisfaction, and we've determined how it's going to go, then he begins the process of actually working on the stone. And the stone itself, like this piece, or better yet, and the piece I'm working on. And we have sandbags to hold the piece in place. And I am working on kind of a Native American totem eagle head and body, small, little, probably the cap of a totem pole. But this is a much harder stone, also very pretty, but in 2 days, this is one of my techniques for teaching the class, is when I can sense that the students are getting tired of sawing and rasping and filing and scraping, then I tell them to take a section of stone and polish it. And you see the color come through, and we take this through a little bit more, and it is just gorgeous, and it has these veins of green in it, in this stone. But this is going to be, to me, this is one of my favorite stones, and we were very fortunate to get this. So we are coming right along. One of the keys that I tell everyone is that sculpture is movement, and sculpture is an opportunity to take a form and turn the head one way, or have the body turned around the other way. Or even if you're doing an abstract piece, the movement is just there. The goal is to get the viewer to want to walk entirely around your piece. That's kind of the point of doing 3D work. And that's part of the joy. That's what was taught me by my sculpture professor and friend who pushed me for 46 years to sculpt. And I would call, every time I called, the first thing out of his mouth was, "What are you doing creatively today, David?" And so he never let up, and I haven't either. So I love teaching the class. Sculpture's been a huge part of my life. I'm involved in a 5-year project right now that I've got 2 years to go on. So this is an opportunity to share what I enjoy with students here at the Peninsula Art Academy.
Thank you, David.
I don't know, that's a lot. It's that